My mother's new husband tried to steal my $98 million inheritance the day after my grandfather signed his company over to me. What he didn't know was that my grandfather had been quietly investigating him for nearly 2 years. This is the story of how a corporate predator married into my family tried to dismantle everything my grandfather built and lost everything when I exposed him in front of our entire board of directors. Before I go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a family member change the moment money became involved? Because that's exactly what happened to mine. My name is Alyssa Morgan, and 3 months ago, I turned 23 years old. On the night of my birthday, my grandfather, Harold Morgan, transferred controlling ownership of Morgan Advanced Systems to me, a company valued at $98 million, built over 42 years from nothing but grit and discipline. My mother's wine glass froze halfway to her mouth. Her husband, Daniel Reeves, stopped smiling altogether. And I had no idea that signing those documents would turn my own family into enemies. Growing up, my grandfather wasn't just a relative. He was my parent in every way that mattered. My mother, Karen, had me young, and I don't think she ever truly wanted the responsibility. She was always chasing the life she felt she missed. My childhood was full of arguments, screaming matches, doors slamming after midnight. When I was 16, my parents divorced. My father moved several states away for work. We stayed close, but he wasn't there day to day. That's when Grandpa Harold stepped in completely. He never missed one school event, not one. While my mom was out living her life, Grandpa was in the front row of my debate tournaments, award ceremonies, and graduation. Every summer from age 16 to 22, I worked at Morgan Advanced Systems, not in some executive shadow role. I started in shipping, then customer service, then marketing, then operations. Grandpa made sure I learned the company from the ground up. Business isn't about money first, he always told me. It's about people, principles, and long-term thinking. At 19, I enrolled in business school, not because I was expected to, because I loved it. Behavioral marketing, leadership psychology, corporate strategy. I graduated top of my class just days before my birthday. Grandpa hugged me and whispered, "You're ready." I didn't understand what he meant. Not yet. Everything changed when I was 21. My mother called out of nowhere and announced she was getting married to a man named Daniel Reeves, a man she'd known for 7 months. The first time I met Daniel was at a dinner at Grandpa's house. He was smooth, confident, effortlessly charming. But when he smiled at me, his eyes stayed cold. He asked too many questions about the company's valuation, its patents, its real estate holdings. When he learned I studied business and worked at the company, his interest in me intensified overnight. "Alyssa's going to take over someday," Grandpa said proudly during dessert. Daniel raised his glass. To the future. But something flickered behind his eyes, just for a moment. After the wedding, my mother changed. She stopped calling unless Daniel was with her. She dressed differently, talked differently, and she started hinting that Daniel might support leadership decisions at the company. One night, Grandpa pulled me into his office. "That man has a purpose," he said quietly, "and it has nothing to do with family." I brushed it off. That was my first mistake. I didn't know he'd already hired an investigator, and I definitely didn't know what he was about to uncover. My birthday celebration was held at Grandpa's estate on a warm spring evening. Lights lined the garden, soft music played. Everything felt surreal. My dad flew in alone. My mother and Daniel arrived late. She was wearing jewelry I'd never seen before. During dinner, Daniel worked the crowd, laughing, networking, collecting business cards. But I noticed him spending a lot of time with Evan Brooks, CEO of our biggest competitor. That didn't sit right. After dessert, Grandpa stood. The entire garden went silent. He spoke about starting Morgan Advanced Systems in a small workshop with less than $5,000. He spoke about integrity, about responsibility. "Today," he said, "this company is valued at $98 million. Applause followed. Then he turned to me. Alyssa understands that leadership isn't about control, it's about stewardship. My heart pounded. That's why on her 23rd birthday, I'm transferring majority ownership of Morgan Advanced Systems to her, effective immediately. Silence. My mother froze. Daniel's smile vanished. The lawyer stepped forward. 58% ownership. In my name. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely sign. That signature changed everything. The crowd erupted. My dad stood cheering. Daniel gripped the table until his knuckles went white. Later, Grandpa pulled me aside. "I've seen the vultures circling," he said calmly, "and now they know they're too late." I should have felt nothing but happiness. Instead, something felt wrong because of how Daniel was looking at me, like I'd taken something he believed was his. The next morning, my mother called. "We need to talk. Come over." Daniel didn't waste time. "What your grandfather did was reckless," he said flatly. "You're 23 with no real leadership experience." "I've been preparing my entire life," I replied. "Preparing?" he scoffed. "You've been playing employee." My mother joined in. "We're just worried." Daniel leaned forward. "I'll step in as interim CEO while you learn. You keep ownership. I run operations." "No." "You're being emotional," he snapped. "I'm being the majority shareholder." My mother's voice hardened. "Then choose. You let Daniel lead or you leave." I looked at her and realized it was never about me. It was about money. "Fine, I'll pack." That's when Grandpa walked in. "That won't be necessary." He looked directly at Daniel. "I've been watching you for a long time." Daniel went pale. "And now," Grandpa said calmly, "we move to the next phase." That afternoon, I moved into Grandpa's guest house. My mother called repeatedly. I didn't answer. Then our CFO called. "Daniel's been meeting with board members," she said. "He's questioning your grandfather's mental fitness." My stomach dropped. "He's asking about liquidation timelines." "He's been planning this for months," I said quietly, "and we're already behind." That night, Grandpa showed me the truth. Daniel Reeves wasn't his real name. He'd married into multiple wealthy families. Each time, assets vanished. Companies collapsed. "This is his pattern," Grandpa said, "and now we let him finish it on record." The next morning, I walked into headquarters. Daniel was sitting behind Grandpa's desk. Board members surrounded him. "We need to discuss leadership restructuring," he said calmly. "Get out of that chair." He smiled. I called an emergency board meeting. At exactly 9 a.m., Daniel presented his plan: sell research facilities, license patents cheaply, lay off 35% of staff. "This isn't leadership," I said, standing. "It's theft." Silence. Legal documents appeared on screen. His real identity, his past schemes, his consulting payouts. Grandpa walked in. "And this man," he said, "has been under investigation for almost 2 years." My mother stood in the doorway. "I've filed for divorce," she said quietly. The board voted unanimously. Security escorted Daniel out. As he passed me, he whispered, "You'll ruin this company." "Remove him," I said calmly. That's when I knew he was finished. Afterwards, Grandpa handed me another document, a separate trust, $41 million. "Your independence can never be used against you. The money isn't the inheritance," he added softly. "The wisdom is." 6 months later, Morgan Advanced Systems is valued at $121 million. My relationship with my mother is healing, slowly. Daniel left the country, and I learned something about myself. I'm capable of destroying someone completely when they threaten what I love. That power doesn't feel good, it feels necessary. And that's the true cost of winning. If you've ever had to choose between family and doing what's right, share your story in the comments. And if this made you think, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.